So today I am going to be taking apart my M17. It's been a while since the last time I basically took this out of the car. As you know, we have a 5-speed in the car now, and I've been doing videos about rebuilding 5-speeds. I figured why not show you guys the 4-speed. So this is the M17. It's got 15 bolts around the case, 3 bolts up in the bell housing, and once you get those out, you are then going to place this guy on the floor and then pull the bell housing off. Don't pull the case out because the gear assembly will basically is going to be stuck in here because there's the shift bolts that I got to get out and the fork assembly. So I'm going to flip this over, take the bell housing out. The reason this is out of my car is because I broke the differential, and we're going to see the carnage finally. But I'm taking it apart to match up synchros to another M17 and hopefully make a good set. Okay, so as you can see, I have split the bell housing from the case. Going to get it to, I'm going to pull it off right now, and we will see inside. So as you can see, we are now inside. This is pretty much the whole gear assembly. Let's see, input bearing, the output bearing, not too bad. Differential. Well, as you can see, I got some movement in here. We're gonna see what broke. I really thought it was the differential that broke. Well, you can see a tooth right there got chewed. Oh, another chewed tooth. Okay, so we're seeing something. What else we got? Yeah, well, I'm going to take this apart, get the gear assembly out, get the shift shaft out, pull it, and see like I said, I'm only really in here for synchros. That over there is your original speed gear you'd find on an M17. Being red, that means it is the true 4-speed for the 6. If it was blue, that would be for the 4-cylinder. There's some other colors that I'm not familiar with. Just throwing that out there, but yep. So that's that. There is plastic shim here. Just be mindful of that if you do take these apart. And I don't know, that that's crazy. So that shift fork over there, I want to say it should have stayed in here, but yeah, let me just get this out, we'll find out. All right. So as you can tell, I took the shaft out of the bell housing where it was stuck, put it back where it belongs. Another thing to be careful is shift. Make sure that you can basically go back and forth to indicate that you're in neutral, right here. The one with the 21 mil. If you do this, you know that all your gear shafts are in neutral. Over here, we got the 13 mil bolt. That long one right there, not the one with the spring, the long bolt. He goes in, that's your reverse shaft holder. The one with the spring, as you can see, hold on here, left something in there, of course, like I always do. You'll have the spring, there's a roll pin, and then you'll have the that dude. This guy goes on the end of that roll pin, so I gotta pull him off. I'll go in detail when I put it back together, but right now I'm more focused on getting the shift forks out and then getting the gear assembly. So I just got to get that bolt there. This should just slide out. I should be able to pick him up, put him over there, and then pull this whole gear assembly out. This is not fixed to the case. This guy, once you get it out, should just be able to lift all gear set out and be fine. So, yep, just give me a second on that. Okay, I am back. The shifter assembly, this guy, if you can see in there, that little dude, rides on this pin right here. So if you ever put them back together, it's going to make sure that that opening is slotted into that pin. Another thing is the reverse one, same thing. That opening right here, let's put it down, that guy on that pin. So just make sure he sits and gets shafted into that pin. The reverse gear I did take out first before I took the shifter. Well, can't really say that. I took the reverse arm out, pulled the reverse gear, and now I should be able to take all of the gear assembly out. Should just pick it up and just pull it out of the case. Okay, I am back. So, I got the gear assembly out. Once the shift fork basically is out, that whole assembly, just pick up the gear assembly. It just comes right on out. This shim will go in the bottom of the input shaft. And then you also have another plastic shim guy that goes on the top of the output shaft when you put it back together. So don't forget these. They are identical. Yep, they are identical. So probably doesn't matter where they go, but I like to keep things where they go. Now, this guy, there is something wrong because this bearing should be press fit, and he just came right off. So there's definitely something wrong here. Like I said, he should be pressed on. He shouldn't be able to go on like that. Now, as you can see, here's the 4th gear synchro, and just like the other ones, it's broken. See where it broke right there. This one being broken, I don't know if it's because that bearing. Yeah, you can really see it now. So for some reason, I'm not the only one. There has been plenty of people with broken 4th gear synchro rings. Plenty. I have another set from the other M17 that I picked up from a good friend. Going through this bag, I was hoping that someone could look at these and maybe match them up to another synchro out of something else, but so far have not had luck. Sorry about that. Alright, and if we come into here, again, 4th gear synchro ring, broken. Wow, who would have known, right? Now, I got oil on my camera. Dang it. Ah, there we go. That's better. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take all these shafts apart, get the synchro rings out, go through, see which ones are worn, which ones are in probably the best shape, and yeah, so I'll either show you how to tear them down. As you can see, forks go just like this. Make sure they're basically like that. This guy is your output fork, and then this guy's your input shaft fork. That's how it sits. This guy right here with the select collar will sit in this. And another thing, that's odd. Got a little chunk out of the, you guys can see that, right? Yeah, he doesn't look to be in the best shape. Huh. Unless, oh, okay. That has nothing to do with that. That's just a coating that I guess the factory did. I might coat it with something. We'll see. But don't ever make the mistake of taking this guy out. Make sure you just pull it all off, because you have the 3 detent with the check balls, and you don't want any of the springs going flying. So if you haven't took enough apart manual transmissions, that's just another thing that I can tell you. Another thing that looks to not really be all that great is the input shaft bearing here. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I don't know, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've torn one of these apart, but where he's sitting, maybe that's where he goes. But yeah, other than that, I'm looking at these synchros, and a lot of them don't look to be in too bad shape. But yeah, let me just get it all apart and match up synchros of which one's the best. And I do have one more transmission that I do want to take apart, and that would be an M19. I know I'm making long videos, but I want to take apart the M19 because I want to see if the synchros are the same. And the M19 that I picked up, if you're not familiar, the M19s were in the 1984 Furos. 4-cylinder, 4-speed, and they didn't have a ribbed case, they had a smooth case. I just want to match up the synchro rings. If the synchro rings match up to basically your M17 ones, that transmission only has like 30,000 miles on it, and so I just want to check those synchros, and if they look beautiful, then I'm going to go ahead and start ordering bearings and match up gears and shafts with my other one down, the other one I took apart, find out which one's the best, which one looks better. And we're going to refurbish a 4-speed for my dad's car, because you never know, over time. His 4-speed's been doing great, don't get me wrong. It's got 170,000 miles on it, and it still shifts smooth. It's just, everyone has its days. So I want to just make sure we have a backup 4-speed for his car. Or who knows, maybe I'll put in another car. I got shifter and cables. We'll see. Alright, so back with the video. This is the input shaft. As you can tell, the earlier video I did with the bearing, that could just slip right off. Basically, once you get that off and you get the gear set off, you get this synchro off, there's going to be a C-clip on the input shaft. It's going to sit in basically right in this area. Pull the C-clip off, and then bring it over to the press. And what you're going to do is just stick the input shaft in, just like so. Well, you know what I'm saying. It's going to be in here. And just press the input shaft out of the gearing. This gear stays. The one that's on top of this gear is the one that's going to get pressed. So this one's fixed the input, these are fixed the input, and that's fixed the input. The one that's right here, that's the one that you're going to basically just put some blocks, or if you have a good adapter that will actually go around the gear, you can use that. Because honestly, I took a chance, but this was pretty well loose coming out. It didn't take much force at all. Once I got it on the press, it was pretty straightforward. So press that out. Now I can pull the shift collar off, and or selector, whatever you want to call it, and get that synchro out. And I'm going to do the next for the output shaft. So give me a second there. The output shaft has a bearing retainer. I think it's a T60, like the 5-speed get rag. I could be wrong, but yeah, let me do that. Okay, so these are the two synchros right here that came from there. What I did, let me redo this to give you an idea of what it looks like. So there's third gear, the selector, pull the selector off nice and easy. That right there is the C-clip. So I'm basically just putting this back in order of the way I took it off. Fourth gear, and then you got the bearing. Of course I'm gonna drop all that. But yeah, so that's gonna go in, that's gonna go just like that. And that way I remember on how that goes on the input shaft orientation wise. If I forget, I have a shop manual. And now we're gonna move on to the output shaft. We're gonna get the synchros out of there. There is a bearing retainer that I gotta pull out. I don't remember if it's reverse threaded or lefty loosey, but we'll figure that out real quick and try to remember how that goes. Okay, so finally got it off. I used a T60 instead of a triple square. T60 works just as good. It is clockwise to reverse it. So clockwise loosens this guy, counterclockwise tightens this guy. There's a lot of Loctite on this, so it took me a while to get it, but it finally came loose. Now with that loose, I should put support blocks on this gear, and 3 and 4, this whole gear should just come right off the output shaft in one piece with the bearing. So that's what we're gonna go do. I'm gonna go press this out. We're gonna press on the gear assembly, support these gears, and should be able to pop this out and then go from there. This is DJ coming at you from High Impact Motorsports. We are not at the Furo barn today. We are at my job. It is my lunch break, and I figured I would go ahead and disassemble the output shaft here because my beam that goes across isn't wide enough at home on my press. So what I did was I left the bearing. You have options. You can either leave the bearing. I figured supporting the gear would just press the bearing off, and that's what we're gonna do. So we're using a bearing around the 3rd and 4th gear on the output shaft. It's just basically it's locked down, keeps pressure on this guy, and as I push the output shaft out, this is where the safety screw would be. So as I push it out, the gear assembly will come off, and then from there I can make up my mind if I gotta press the rest of the gears off. It's been a while since I've done this, but again, we're just going to get the synchros. Using a little 5/8 16 mil socket to press on the shafts as they're the right diameter, and we'll go from here. Let me get this apart. Okay, so pressing it off, I just cupped it here, pulled it off. That's what you'll end up with. Like I said, bearings. I like to keep an eye on these build bearing identification numbers because I am going to source these. I'm not going to chance some of them. Once you get that off, this guy should just slide right off. Trying to do it with one hand. There we go. All right, so he will then just come up. I like to keep it all in order, of course. So set him right there. And now we have 2nd gear synchro. Pop that guy out. Yep. Looks good. I'm not seeing any grind marks here like I was on the 3rd and 4th. So far I'm in the luck because these synchros aren't chewed. So awesome. I'm just gonna set him on top, but always remember he goes underneath on that collar piece. Now, let's see if there's a C-clip in here. Usually sometimes there's yep, right there. Okay, we have a C-clip here I gotta pop off, so let me do that. Once he pops off, make sure you pull this whole guy out as one. Do not shift him off of this ring. You will lose detents and you will lose springs. Don't take that chance. I've done it before and it is not fun. So there's that. Yeah, let me get that C-clip off, pull this the rest of the part, and we'll start identifying things. Okay, so removed the C-clip, grabbed it by this gear here, and I just basically kept smacking it until where it just wanted to move off the shaft. And this is what you should end up with left. So that guy stays, the bearing's there. Bearing will have to come off when I go to put new bearings on. But this is the output shaft. Got oil holes in there. The shift selector, if I move this up, got our synchro right there. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop the synchro out. Make sure that all these gears stay locked into where they're supposed to be. That way I don't mix up where everything goes, and should put together should be able to put something together. Alright guys, stay tuned. And that should how it should look with all in order. So that's how it should look on the output shaft when it goes back together. Those synchros look amazing, and I might keep them in those positions, or I just gotta make up my mind. But yeah, the output shaft synchros look great, the input shaft synchros. Apparently the input shaft is where the synchros are having their issues. So let's just keep that in mind. Kind of try to reference of why, and we'll go from there.